Blessings on you and welcome. This is Pastor Jeffrey here, and this is URP Practical Talk, and this segment is Talking Practically. We have a situation that is developing here in Guyana, and I just want to address it, and I thank you for joining. This is Talking Practically. What do Brazil, Nigeria, Libya, and Venezuela have in common? They are all major oil-producing countries whose populations are starving. Oil does not make a country rich. What the politicians do with the oil money is what makes the country wealthy. If the politicians are greedy and corrupt, no amount of oil will save us. For over 50 years, Guyana has had rice, sugar, timber, bauxite, and gold. And we are still the poorest country in the Caribbean, and no other Caribbean country has that. So let that sink in for a moment. The only time that Guyana seemed anywhere close to being financially stable was over the 10-year period between 2005 and 2015, when we had a thriving parallel drug economy. That's what the politicians are saying. The law of politics says that the country gets the government it deserves. For 50 years, our successive governments have bankrupted Guyana and kept us largely in poverty. And this cycle of poverty and backwardness will not change if we continue to elect the very people who have kept us here. The mentality of our career politicians have not changed over the last 50 years. So for those of you who think that the advent of oil will save us, my advice is this. Don't quit your day job and don't get rid of your foreign nationality. They might come in handy. And that's talking practically. Doc, how you doing? I tell you, Doc.
I love your opening remark.
Doc. Yeah. Listen, the more I study this thing, and I've been doing the research ever since I heard that Guyana got oil. I went on the internet, I see Yahoo put it up as the big news, and I've been reading behind the scenes now. Guyana has all the makings to where Guyanese would never profit from that oil money.
They would not. They would not profit from the oil money. And the people then who will be profiting mostly from that oil money, it will be the Exxon, the United States.
And the corrupt politicians that they can buy, because that is what happened. ExxonMobil and these companies, they buy the politicians, and the politicians get some money to the cronies and the henchmen, and the money stays in a certain group. Look what's happening in Venezuela. Look what's happening in Brazil. Look what's happening in Nigeria. Oil don't make a country rich.
Yeah, we can see that clearly. We can see that from our neighboring countries.
Correct.
Look, I could recall a few years ago when I'm telling some friend who's come here to sell their property and go back. They said they finished with Guyana. Today we see that we don't have enough boat to bring people back from Venezuela. 250,000 people in Venezuela, Guyanese, right? Many of them who said they were rich, we had to send money.
Correct.
To pay the passage to come to Guyana. So it's not, you have to be very careful. And when we talk about this oil like a real big thing, you know. We talk about nearly 10 years now in the Suriname area, where they're digging oil. Nothing can come up to today. Now we're talking about the next largest oil basin in the world, you know. So who will benefit? And we can't see the contract, because I was made to understand that we will get only about 12%.
It depends on who you ask. Between 12 and 25%.
You know,
but it's phantom.
Yeah.
It's phantom money. It's not. It's not tangible, because we don't know what the contract says.
Yeah.
And there seems to be something
hidden
that is in the contract. That if the Guyanese people, it's something like Trump and his taxes. There seems to be something hidden in there that you can't make it public.
Right.
You know, so I am concerned, and the reason I'm concerned, Doc, is because you've been in agriculture for a long time, and what is happening is that people would want to think that they could move away from agriculture
You
now that
cannot.
we're
You
getting
cannot.
oil or the promise of oil. And if they do that, it's going to make life really difficult for the Guyanese
Yeah.
people.
I born in the agriculture industries, right? And I know Guyana cannot survive without agriculture. This is why I am also saying that government ought to take it very seriously. Closing down the estates and leave it like that, leaving people hanging is very bad. You have to come to an alternative, because when people start to relax and they move away from agriculture, we will be in serious trouble in Guyana. Real serious trouble. Similar situation happened also in Trinidad. When they got the oil come in,
There we go.
everybody quit from the agriculture, studying about the oil, go work at the oil field and so on. Now Trinidad got to start to import most of their agriculture product, basic product for the country.
I want to say too,
right?
I was in, I went to a little hideout, the church. We took some folks for outing right up in Kuru there at a little hideout they have. And a Trinidadian guy runs the place. And he was telling me, he said, Trinidad find oil. But I am here in Guyana running from Trinidad because of what Trinidad has become because of oil. He said, when oil money starts to flow, corruption is not going to go down. Corruption is going to go up. There are going to be more kidnappings. They're going to be, because you have more money now to steal. So a gangster now knows that you have some money, he kidnaps your child or your wife or your sister. And so he's saying that oil could be a curse and a blessing. So don't, Guyanese, he was cautioning us. He was talking to a group of us. He's saying, look, don't jump on this bandwagon thinking that because you all got oil, your country is now going to be better.
You remind me of a few years back. Every time I go to Trinidad, I usually spend a night or 2 nights. I probably pass through Trinidad about 100 times, right? And a few years back, when they started kidnapping in Trinidad, you couldn't go out nowhere. Because I was afraid to go out because I had a friend there who resembled me.
Okay.
And I was afraid if I get kidnapped too, of these things. Because whatever the gentleman tell you is quite correct. Because people know that you have money, they come in on you.
Because
they come in on
if you don't deal, you see, Guyana has got some intrinsic problem. Very, how we say, we deal sometimes with the symptoms and not with the problem itself. If you don't deal with the academic problem you're having, right now we're losing upwards of 80% of all our UG graduates. We have a lot of people not finishing high school or primary school. So with the infusion of oil, and you still have a bunch of people who are on the lowest strata, the thief men will have more to steal, and they will become more violent because it's more money, the risk is greater, you understand? So we've got to deal with all these foundational issues, and I am not seeing them being satisfactorily addressed, okay? So I'm appealing to my Guyanese folk, not because we have oil, we could throw caution to the wind, okay? Let's stay focused. Let's stay prayerful, and let's become professionals in the positive things we do, all right? Because it's not going to play out as easy as that, and the government knows that full well too. It's just that it's not being told to us.
This administration trying to push the oil as the biggest thing will happen in Guyana. Guyana will got so much money and things like that, fooling these nonsense in the people's mind. But it will not happen that way. Nothing comes very easy, Pastor.
Correct.
And this is why I'm saying that we have to be very serious and look into the agricultural section. We have to develop what we have right now.
Correct.
We have our rice. We have to work on that to develop it, to get proper marketing. Correct. How we will go about doing that. We have the little sugar what we'll have left. We have to develop on that. We have timbers, we have to develop on that. And that's why the URP not only saying but developed on that. Make it possible that people can able to make a comfortable living.
Correct.
Right? But besides that, we must have additional crops.
Right.
You know,
Cash crop.
that is why, you know, in the newspaper, you see that we have, in Sunday newspaper, we talk about the hemp,
Correct.
you know, as an alternative crop for the sugar estate. We can also talk about ethanol. We can also talk about aloe vera. Since 1987, when I came in politics in Guyana, we have been talking about aloe vera. You know, because it's something that has billions of dollars also.
Correct. Is a
And these are
useful-
products. These are products that when we put in Guyana here, we have to have our finished product. We have to have
Well,
manufacturing
that's
company.
what we want you to talk about.
You know,
We have
see-
what they call value added.
value-added product. Yes.
You know,
Right.
rice. There are so many things that can be made with rice.
Definitely.
And therefore, we need to attract factories that will invest in you taking the rice, and rather than trying to export it by the bags, the paddy, we take the rice and we do byproducts of the rice here. We do byproducts of the sugar, byproducts of our aloe vera, byproducts of the hemp product, you know, and do value added here.
Yeah, but you see what we are doing here. We are looking at all the easiest way out. We feel that these things are difficult to make, but nothing is difficult if you got the right personnel running it.
Correct.
It's not difficult.
Correct.
You know, you are quite correct. There are so many things they make with rice. You know, besides that, if we stop looking at this bulk shipment outside
Correct.
and packaging our rice,
Correct.
then we can feed the whole Caribbean, as I said in one of the last programs.
You know,
I don't see why we can't do these things. And there's so much that we can able to have. We would not even have enough people to work in Guyana. We will have to open our country to bring in people.
bring in people to
like how
work.
Canada and how United States had opened one time their country. Imagine, Guyana is bigger than London,
correct.
England, right? England got so many millions of people, was a superpower in the world.
Correct.
Who knows, we can be a superpower in the world too, because it's money make you superpower.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and we have all the natural resources here. We have so many people, our Guyanese outside, that from all level,
Yes, sir.
right? If they come back here, I am saying if 5%
of
Guyanese come back
of the brains,
here,
yes.
you know,
I believe it.
Guyana become a New York in no time.
Right? Like you, Doc,
Yeah.
and you know this better than I do. But even in the Caribbean, we go to Antigua, we go to Trinidad, we go to Barbados.
Guyanese here.
Guyanese are excellent.
Business-
Guyanese running
businesses.
business. Guyanese is administrators.
Yeah.
Guyanese is the banking system. And if we could find a way to get past our racial, negative ideological concept of administration, we vote race or we vote ideology, neither of which lend to development of Guyana. If we could only get past that. Like you were saying, Guyana is a diamond in the rough. We've got so many things going for us, and it is just that we have not been able to get the right administration over these last 50 years. We said we're here on the verge of our 54th anniversary, but as we look back, we've not been able to get the kind of leadership. And that brings me to a question I want you to talk about, because we've been getting some folks who've been saying, look, you guys need to continue to talk about racial harmony. And when we talk racial harmony, generally we talk about two races. But you always have a saying, Doc, I'm going to let you say it, that we don't have, how you say it? It's not just two. How you say that? It's not just
No.
two.
Yeah, we don't have only two races, black and Indian.
Correct.
Our country built up with 6 people.
Correct.
Right? We are only talking about Indian and black. What happened with the other races in Guyana? We have 39% Indian, we have 33% black, we have 20% mixture, and the other rest is the other races. You know? So why we only have to talk about Indian and blacks in Guyana? You know, it is impossible for us to go on like this. And Indian and black is going down. They're going down, and other races are coming
Yeah,
up.
because it's mixing,
You know,
I was...
so you can't. No political party. I am saying, and I'm saying this over and over, the two major political parties, no matter how much they peddle the racism, it would not work because none one of them can win an outright election.
Correct. The
URP has a better chance than them in winning an outright election.
I see.
Because we are not talking about, we are talking about our people.
Inclusion.
You know, we are talking about everybody. And we have to stop talking about this Indian, and we have to stop talking about the different thing. Because look at, even in the United States, they had some kind of program going on there. And I was very furious when I heard about it. Talking about the 26th of May and bring back the massacre of Wisma and all these things. I said, so I had to tell some people in New York today, I said, you guys are peddling the racism and you're in a country where you're enjoying everything, where all races is there, but you are peddling racism. Because if you can come back to 50 odd years, or you know, about or 60 years or how much years, in 1964, 26th of May, but massacre. What are you telling people? You opening a can of worms.
You're going back to that negative. Negative.
And you know that cannot work. Our country cannot survive on that. So we should not peddle these kind of negative things. Let us think about the future. Let us think that what will make us a better human being. Let us think how we are able to come together and build our country and make it as United States and even past United States.
Yeah.
You know?
We've got to, and I know, you know, people say to me, you know, they said, Jeffrey, man, we're doing, people can either vote PPP, Indian, or they're going to vote PNC.
Pastor,
you know?
I will not.
No, I'm telling you, they ask me.
Yeah.
And what I say to them, I say, look, I am an intelligent person, and I'm not a soup drinker. I will not drink the PPP soup, and I'm not going to drink PNC soup. And so there must be more folks like me in Guyana. Not everybody is bent on political ideology or racism. And what Guyana needs is a moving away from a system that has failed us for the last 50 years.
Definitely.
And I'm saying that I'm doing this here not because I want to be a politician. I don't even know how to be a politician. I just want to help my country to develop and to move forward. And I cannot be the only person. Obviously, Doc, you're not the only person either because I'm here. So there must be some magnetic force that will pull people away from these racial voting and these issue-less voting. Because we don't vote issues in Guyana. We vote race or political ideology. And I'm saying that as we move forward, there must be more people who will say, look, we need, in the interest of Guyana, we need to move away from this black race, black vote, and this Indian vote, and let's vote issues.
They do have people like that. Because we have started our political campaign 5 months before the last election. And we are convinced that we had at least one seat in the last election. But at least they gave us what, 1,100 votes, right, in the last election. Okay. All right, even said they give us 1,100 votes. It's 1,100 people think like me and you.
Beautiful.
You know?
Beautiful.
So it's going on. It will go on. And look, all over this country I go. Everywhere I go. Even I was at Parika Market yesterday. And a guy come up to me and said, man, I look at your program, very, very educational. You know, that I'm looking at your program all the time. You know, some people from Berbice call me and tell me, and yes, you were both sides, call me and tell, you know, we are making sure that we are by our TV when your program will start.
Beautiful.
Because they want to see it.
Beautiful.
Because we are the only political party trying to educate these people in the form of showing them, reason with them.
Correct.
You know, to be a different human being. Don't be like a dead fish. As I said, a dead fish go with the flow and the living fish go against the tide. So, you know, those who stuck with the PPP and stuck with the PNC, I look at them as dead fish. You know?
Yeah, especially if they can't justify and articulate why they're there. You know? I wanna say also that the younger generation, you talked about them just now. There's a young generation of people who are not concerned about the negativity of the old years, of all the things that happened under Jagon and Burnham. And they're looking for a break.
Yeah. But
a fresh break.
Who in the young generation today want to hear about Burnham? Who in the young generation want to hear about Jagan? Nobody wants to hear about Shetty and Burnham. You know what the younger generation looking for, buddy? How they can fill their stomach, get 3 square meal a day.
Correct.
How they can get clothes on their body. How they can have a shelter. How they can marry and get a family and make them happy and see smile on their face, and they don't have to wonder where the next meal will come from. And the only way that will happen is the URP.
Correct. Move away from the
right. Move away from this old system. Because if you go through the old system, as you always say, you know, the same thing you will be able to reap all the thing. You're not going. Look at it carefully. And I'm being reasonable. In the last administration, I got many places. People living on their land in this country for over 30 years. And they're all PPP people. Okay. Right? But you know what? PPP was there 23 years. Could not give them even a lease or a transport for that land. So the poor people now, if they want to develop themselves, they can't develop themselves because if they want money from the bank, they have nothing as security to show the bank so the bank can give them a loan so they can go and plant their crops or anything like that. Now, what happened? Are these people so stupid? You're showing them out all these things. You still want to go PPP because of race?
Let me say one of the things that I've been noticing, Doc, is that people really did not have a viable alternative. In other words, we go now, it's election time, and we go into the booth. For me, for instance, I voted for AFC the last time. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because with the coalition, because
you haven't seen an alternative.
Right, because the AFC went with the coalition. So I thought that, things would have been better, right? Of course, water is under the bridge with that. But what is happening, what the URP, what we are doing now, is that we are giving people a viable alternative. Okay? And so what has to happen is that we need to continue with these programs, and we need to let people, because we have a brain drain in Guyana, where our academics are leaving in droves. But those of us who are remaining might not be academically inclined, but we're not dumb. We can think, and some of us, and I say, we got the PPP Jumbie or the PNT Jumbie, but there are some people who are objective and who will look at our programs and who will think. And when they go into that booth, they will now have an alternative. So while it is true there are some people who are hooked to the PNC or hooked to the PPP, there are also people who are objective and who understand, look, I want betterment for my country, and if it means that I have got to give somebody else a chance so that we can continue to rotate our administrators, our politicians, until we get the best people to supervise Guyana, well, then that's the chance I'm going to take. You understand what I'm saying? So there are people who are going to go that route.
Well, I know people will go that way. And some of them, it's very unfair that some of them will say also, because I heard it on the street, how we know that you wouldn't do the same thing like the AFC and things like that, collate with these political parties. And I'm saying over and over, the URP policy is that even one seat we have, will remain as URP. And I want to, exaggerate on this. I want to keep on saying this and let the people understand that URP will not go to bed with any of these two major political parties, because we have seen the danger in these two major political parties. We will keep on the same route that we are going from the inception, and we have been still going in the same way. That the URP will stand alone, whatever it gets, because I know from this election, this coming election, I don't care how much the Granger administration planning to rig, but they will have a hard time in rigging this election. Right? I know that all they're gearing on is rigging this election to get back in power. Because if they go fairly in the poll, they might come number last in this election. You know, because everybody are fed up with them. And it's not only their people or their supporters. Everybody are fed up. Look, the time has been coming now. It's not about race, as we talk about race. A small percentage will talk about race. But the majority people who have an open mind will not talk about race.
Correct.
If they think carefully of the development of Guyana. They would not think about race. They will think about Guyana, how we can able to develop our country, how we can able to raise our family and have smile, how we can take them on holidays,
Correct.
how we can do all these kind of things and enjoy our life.
I want to talk, because you touched on something just now, when you said about the results of the last election. A number of people don't understand how it works. It is about given the fact you have 65 people in parliament, 65 seats, and you have about 400,000 people who vote.
Yeah.
When you do the divide, it's about 4,000,
5,000
votes
5,000
per person, per seat. So that if the URP gets 10, 15, 20,000 votes, every 5,000 is a seat. And what that does, it creates a counterbalance. Now, when the AFC was in parliament, the AFC created that counterbalance. So the AFC could have sided with PPP, or they could have sided with the APNU. But now that the AFC is in a coalition, they don't have that counterbalance. So if you don't get a third party, a third force in the parliament, you don't have that counterbalance, and any one of those parties who wins will run the country just as they see fit, and there is no checks and balances. Guyana needs that check and balance in the parliament.
Definitely.
Yes,
Definitely.
We have to get
that is why I'm saying that this election will have to have a change in Guyana. And the URP is the change in Guyana to ensure that our people's rights have been looked at. Our people's voice will be heard. And our people's voice will be carried out.
And I want to touch too, Doc. You talked about the promise that you looked into the camera, and you're going to have to do that consistently and tell the folks that the URP will not coalesce with any of the existing parties. And the reason you have to make that clear, the Civic in the PPP was not a party. However, the Civic morphed into the PPP, and right now you don't know who the Civic is. If you were to do a questionnaire and say, can you say who the Civic is?
But
they wouldn't know who the Civic is.
But Pastor, from the inception, I know the Civic is the PPP. Civic with PPP, just name they're playing with.
However, though, no, I'm just saying that when the Civic come on board, it was with Sam, Prime Minister Sam Hines, and some other folks. I won't call the name because maybe a teacher might take a test and she might ask, or he might ask, to name the civics in the PPP. The point I'm making is that the Civic morphed and got lost into the PPP. Over the last 2 years, you had the AFC. Now you don't have AFC anymore. The whole ideology of the AFC has been morphed into the PNC, the APNU.
Look, listen.
So if you get a third force you collate, that's what happens.
But the Civic, whoever was the Civic and who was minister of the Civic, right? Whatever the PPP said, they have to carry out that.
And the same thing now.
Right? And the same thing happening with whatever the PNC, the APNU or PNC or whatever, whatever they say, the AFC got to jump to it.
Correct.
All what they have to say, if the APNU say, look, I want this, jump this way, they got to ask how high. And the same thing happened in the Civic.
Correct.
You know, when they said jump, you ask them how high. You know.
Right. And so the detriment of the country is this situation where if you don't have a third force that counterbalances the other two, then any one of the parties win outright. And then like you have budgets like the last budget there, you can't make any amendments to the budget because like Doc is saying, the AFC is going to vote in tandem with the APNU, and they're going to push the budget through. And if the PPP wins, they will vote as a bloc, and you won't be able to get a third force to counter, a third force that could side with the opposition and create a counterbalance in the parliament. So it is to Guyana's benefit that you get a third party.
Definitely.
All right. Doc, quickly here. Talk a little, you're on the Wiedenhoop side.
Yeah.
And you have a situation that is happening over there that you said you wanted to address with the traffic bill up and stuff like that. We out of time, but touch on that quickly before we leave.
Well, the traffic building up is caused by several things. Sometimes you see that the people do construction and the peak hour on the road where people have to travel to go to work, and the line is so long for miles and miles sometimes in the Wiedenhoop and they're going to the bridge because of construction. See, we have to think very carefully how we should do construction. We have limited road in Guyana, right? Why can't we try to do road like in the night? Try to do most of the work in the night. If you need the sunshine to do road, you're going to take the necessary time to do the road and not on peak hours, right? Because it is tremendously hard on people when they're going to work and they can't reach, in time to work. The boss fired them, they lose their job and they lose everything. The same thing they do with the bridge. The bridge, they will do construction on the bridge, repair on the bridge, the peak hour. So lines and lines all over the place. You'll take hours. One day I took 3 hours to cross that bridge and meet in Georgetown, right? Because they have construction going on the bridge. Okay. So these are things that we have to think very carefully. Let us copy some of the foreign ways that they do construction and things like that. Correct. Like in the United States, for instance, where I lived so long in the United States. They do construction mostly in the night on the road because they leave the road open, and they have so much road, but they still leave the road open so they wouldn't affect the people who go into their work in the day. So it is important for us government should start to think a little more carefully in this contract. And besides that, what I think, what the URP are saying, that we should have an additional road to take off this traffic coming, because they had opened so many schemes all over the area. Right. Thousand and thousand people more come in. Like they have a entrance going to Parfait Harmony, not very far from the bridge. What we are saying, look, let me extend that road and go probably right up to Windsor Forest area and catch a train line, which is a solid area, and go down to Parika and catch the main road somewhere at Tushin.
I see you have the demographics. Right? You have the demographics of that place. Yeah. You've lived there for so long. Yeah. Doc, we out of time. Okay. We out of time. I'm going to let you use half a minute and talk to the folks.
Well, I would like to again urge you to look at our program, invite your friends, check our website out, www.urpguyana.com, our Facebook, URP Guyana, and go send your messages to all your friends and family overseas about the URP Practical Talk. Go on the YouTube and you will see URP Practical Talk. It's all over the world, you can get it. So please share this information.
Thank you so much. Folks, thank you for joining. God bless you real good. Remember, www.urpguyana.com or URP Guyana or Facebook page. Thanks for joining us. Join us again, same time, same station next week. God bless you. Stay safe. Bye.